Welcome to Year of the Gamekeeper Part 3. As many of you know, a hungry fox can be a keeper's worst nightmare. Today I'm joining Dave, who's out on fox patrol.
So we were out yesterday and we were doing some jobs around the farm, and we quickly looked across one of the fields and it looked like we had a couple of hares out there. And it was actually a fox we had out there, a little cub. So this evening me and Johnny are going to go out and try and give him a call, a fox prey, and try hopefully get some pests off the farm. So this is my fox prey. You got all different types of fox preys. They do small little ones, they do double speaker ones. There's different makes out there, but this is the best one I've found for what I need. The calls are really good. You try to get hold of them to get some new calls put on it if you want them. They're really good and they do work. So my favourite call for foxes on this Fox Pro is Platinum Grey Fox. It does work most of the year round. I've used it. It's a nice strong call. It's loud and it does draw them in quite well. We're set up. I've got my cooler out to the right here. I've got a bit of bait sat in front of me about 7,500 yards away. My cooler about 50 yards away. The cubs in the wood to our left. I'm hoping to call them out to the bait station and then get them in front of us. You know what I've done wrong was load my gun. Should never load the gun. Load it, nothing comes. Keep it unloaded, something comes. It's always the way forward, isn't it? So sadly, we never got anything tonight, but foxes are a creature, you never know what they're going to do. Hopefully we'll get them another night, but I'll see you in the morning.
The morning after, we met up with Dave and Matt back on the rearing field.
Can't see him. He'd be hiding from the rain.
Where's all the pheasants gone, Dave?
So the farm down the road's taking the hens off us because we're too busy with the rearing field and everything else that's going on the farm now.
Why'd you plough it up?
To reseed it.
It just goes back to grass?
And it goes back to, well, it's ploughed in with grass, yeah, or drilled in with grass. So it's good crop for next year.
Oh, should we go look at some partridges? So what have you got there?
So I've got some partridges here. I've got a 2.5 week old one and a 3.5 week old one.
One's quite clearly still got that sort of chicky camouflage and the other one's just turning into sort of partridgey colours.
Yeah, so one looks just a little bit bigger than when you saw it last time, really.
Yeah, it's an amazing growth they do between those 2 weeks,
there's only
isn't
a week difference between those two and it's just under double the size, really.
These guys seem pretty calm. Are they pretty calm or?
No, they are quite a flighty bird. That's how they are.
And they'll get more flighty as they get older?
Yeah, when they get a bit older and they get out on the runs, you'll notice it a lot more. Or out on the shoot, they are a proper wild as such flighty bird.
They forget about you pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just like that, there you go. So these 3-week-olds have been let out a little bit?
Yeah, so we've let them out into the night shelter. You can't see, but it's just a wire on the back and the front and this on the side. It just gets them a little bit hardier before we let them out into the run.
And when will that come?
When the weather gets better. A lot better, but around like 4.5 weeks old.
How old is this one?
This one's 6.5 weeks old.
And this is just getting its adult plumage?
Yeah, it's just starting to colour up fully and it's got a bit more growing left to do yet though.
Yeah, it looks a lot more aware of its surroundings as well,
Yeah,
the other ones, doesn't it?
Yeah. So once they get to about 5 weeks old, they want to stay out, rain or shine really, just so they get hardened off to the weather.
And how long until they're actually put out on the shoot?
Another 7 weeks from now.
So when they're 13-ish weeks old?
Yeah, they're 5, yeah. So these ones are 7.5 weeks old.
And now they've got proper adult plumage coming through where the other ones were just starting?
Yeah, so these ones, well, they're still growing and the feathers are still coming through, but you can start to see it a lot better now.
And when will they finish growing?
About 18 weeks old, they're fully grown and
that is an adult bird.
Adult bird.
Will they grow a lot more than this?
Yeah, they get a little bit bigger and they get a little bit fatter as well.
They're a good looking bird, and they're they are healthy, I presume. They should look really alert.
Yeah, these ones are. They're very good. They got treated for coxy a couple of weeks ago, so they're nice healthy birds at the moment.
Many of a gamekeeper's duties can't be fit into the standard working day, so keepers often get their friends in to help out. Today, that friend is me.
Welcome back to Pigeon Patrol. But today, instead of using my trusty old gun, I'll be using this. This is a Day-State Air Ranger, and I've got a Pulsar Digix N450 on top. I did have it on my foxing rifle, and then failed to see any foxes for a very long time. So I put it on this because there's going to be a bit more guaranteed way to test it out and actually see if it's any cop. And it's quite dark in that barn, so the first battle is to try and zero it. Wish me luck. Oh, that's cool. It's got recording on it. Might save you some work, Sam. Right, so shooting low. How low? Very low. Now, I've established a vague parameter of where we are. Let's get the instructions out. So Sam always calls me a boomer because I don't know how to technology. The answer is I really don't know how to technology, do I, Sam? I should be allowing you to do this. Zeroing. The rifle scope features two zeroing modes. With one-shot zeroing and using a freeze function, zeroing is recommended to be done at the temperature close to the rifle scope operating temperature. Right, there we go. So we've got at least a picture set up that's quite nice. Zeroing profile. Fantastic. Alright, wish me luck. As you can see, the box through the scope. This is exciting. Alright, let's give it that. Let's zoom out a little bit. 16 times zoom is actually quite a lot. But it must be said that the clarity at 16 times zoom is exceptional. The thing I noticed about this when I was out foxing with it, although we saw nothing, is the clarity is top notch. Looks like you're looking through a scope, sort of. Yeah, well, it's just really smart. I know it's probably really immature to say all this, but I like the fact that I can change the crosshair colours. I'm going to have it in green. Makes me feel the most predator. Alright. I mean, I understand that technology is a good thing in this instance. Doesn't half make things more complicated, do I? Let's go check the target the old-fashioned way. They definitely hit the paper though that time, didn't they? Turn out this way. I think what makes me uncomfortable with this, at least, and I must be honest here, is that it's all just a bit new. Like, I can zero a rifle scope in a couple of shots and be on the money. Like, I've done hundreds, if not 1,000 plus rifle scope zeros. To me, that's bread and butter. This, it's all new ground. And I must admit, when it was on my rifle, someone has zeroed it for me, someone who has one, because that is what friends are for. Helping you out. Right. Let's go check. Oh, I know. Yeah, basically on the money. Just need to dial ourselves across by about some amount, because it's all done on X and Y axis. Let's dial ourselves across half an A. Some say we're good to go. I haven't got quite enough X, which means I'm a quarter inch out at 10 yards, and about an inch out, but luckily it's got mil dots in there, so it is exactly 1 mil dot off, just under 1 mil dot off. All right, save power. Let's go shoot. So Matt and Dave are utterly busy this time. So they've asked me to come and have a look at a huge feral pigeon problem that we came and did a little bit number with a few months ago. If you have a peer over that gate and down this line of silage, you'll see a fraction of what's in this barn. see that running shot? Basically Franz Albrecht. For the first time in history that I can remember, there is a pellet shortage in the UK. I for one find this both amusing and frustrating. Frustrating for obvious reasons, but amusing because it's the first time that airgun users have experienced what we suffer with rifles, and not being able to get what we want. And the same kind of goes for shotguns as well. It's a big component issue at the moment. But luckily, the answer is to not be too fussy like me and just put anything for your gun, and always have a little stash. And it's kind of easy for me to say. So these sort of jobs aren't pleasurable. They're a really important pest control job. And we are here to help those keepers out, but I must admit that this scope is making this very, very easy. Actually, that ability to cut through the dark, even just on an inside job on a barn like this, where a scope would usually do the job, just makes life very, very simple. Certainly for the video aspect, the record function is very handy. We've already watched back one shot to make sure where it was shooting, just make sure it was shooting well, and it is. Its target acquisition is quick, its eye relief is very variable, which makes shooting in different positions actually very pleasurable. A lot of digital sights I find quite hard to focus, my eyes are pretty bad, but this one is good. I approve. These pigeons do not. Let's go and give these ones a rest. We'll go to a different barn quickly, see what we can find. That was that. It's always an interesting job. Does take a certain level of skill to know when to pull the trigger and when to not, certainly with the roof as fragile as it is, so it was good. Good work. 26 pigeons dead. We're estimated 50. We'll come back later in the week and see if we can have a few more. And so they do pose a serious disease risk as much as all the other things. And the reasons that they're shot. So anyway, back to Gamekeeper.
So this is one of my pheasant pens. I suppose we'll show you what it's all about. We start off, we've got the wire to keep them all in, or the mesh, shall I say, an electric fence. The fence keeps foxes and stuff to get in. So once the birds get out of the pen, so obviously they go up to roost, and so these edge trees here on the branches, they can fly over the pen, the wire, and then they're out of the pen. So I've got to walk them back in. So I've got these funnels, butterflies at this side. So we'll run them, walk around the pen one way, and they'll all run in, go in there, and there is. On my other pens they've got fox squids on. These ones are a bit different because they've just got stops on the end. So then if a fox did get the other side of that electric fence, it's hard for him to get in. Right, we'll go have a look inside. So before we go inside, this is my header tank. This holds the water that goes through the blue pipe, which goes into all my drinkers inside the pens. So as we go in, as you can see, we got a nice grass ride, or a ride cut through. My drinkers, I've got some feeders in here because my birds are going out soon. And as you can see, the rest of it's not been cut because we've got to have some cover in here for the birds, otherwise they won't want to be in here at all. They've got to have shelter, the trees, roosting, and just general coming out to reality from the rearing field.
How long do you try and keep them in here for?
So I'll try to keep them in the pens, or I'll try to keep the majority in for about 4 weeks, and then they start to get out, but I'll still keep pushing them back in for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then after that, I won't open the pens up as such. I just, what I have got away out of the pens, I'll put hoppers 100 yards up out of sight and the water there. Just then when they get out there, I've got water and feed. But yeah, I'll try to keep them in as long as possible because they're when they're in this pen, they're a lot safer in the pen than they are out there. So this is one of my feeders. We use Manola feeders. I put these into the pen. They're the same feeders as such, or same design that are on the rearing field. So they know what the food is straight away when they come in, because obviously it's a totally new environment for them. Same as the drinkers. The food stays the same for us for the first, well, until these hoppers come empty, then we're changing them on to rearer, depending on age wise. We just try to mimic it as such to the rearing field, because that's all they've known so far. And then obviously when they get a little bit older, they gradually know more. So it's our job to make that change as easy as possible for them, but we've got to do it gradually so they don't get stressed out or ill, or keep an eye on them as well. So this is my maze. As you can see, I've got some really good plants and I've got some quite small plants. My maze got re-drilled because it was so dry this year. During the lockdown, we had quite a long time without having any rain, and it just didn't grow, so we had to re-drill it. Luckily it started to come on, but not great at this moment in time. Hopefully it gets better.
What are the options if it goes wrong?
We can put a rescue mix in, mustard or something like that on it along those lines, but maize is probably, well, maize is what I want there because it is best for that driving block. This shows how just dry it actually is. We're digging down. We haven't hit moisture yet, and we had rain last week, so hopefully there's going to be some moisture underneath that hard cap there. So this shows the difference between the farm's maze, which had the rain, and my maze, which didn't, and it was only drilled a week and a half difference between the two. It's kind of upsetting. So this is one of my partridge pens. We put these up to when we transfer the partridges from the rearing field out into the chute. We chuck them in pens like this. We put about 50 in this pen. They stay in here for 4 to 5 days, and then we'll let them out and fill the pen up again. There'll be a net on top, obviously, food and water, and a shelter up at straw bales and a bit of tin over the top, so they've got some shelter from the wind and rain.
As you can see, everything is ready for the birds to be released onto the estate. Join us next time when the birds are going out.